I feel like all of my videos lately have been about queer horror, and my gods, am I okay with this? Hey there, creepy peeps. My name is Nightmare Maven. Welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by the title of this video, we are talking about Hypochondriac. Hypochondriac is a new horror movie written and directed by Addison Hyman that follows Will, a potter who is living normally years after his mother tried to kill him as a kid. His mentally ill mother comes back into his life suddenly just as Will begins to experience a strange medical phenomena that causes him to lose mobility of his arms. This cocktail of stress causes Will to spiral into madness as his childhood trauma comes roaring back into his life. So this story is an emotional retelling of something the writer-director Addison Hyman actually went through. Much like Will, Hyman spent 6 months where he did not have mobility of his arms. Also, like Will, he spent a lot of time Googling his symptoms, which is literally never a good idea. And as you would expect, the internet convinced him that he was dying of something. At the same time, his mother was leaving him voicemails talking about like how he shouldn't trust his friends and things like that. For context, because that last bit seems a little bit random and almost like too perfectly in line with the movie, I watched an interview with Hyman, I'll link it in the description, where he says his mother has a mental illness, which was his explanation as to why she was doing that. The result is a horrific psychodrama about childhood trauma, and not only how it affects the victims in the situation, but the people in their lives. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit apprehensive going into this one. While the horror genre and themes of mental illness are not strangers, a lot of the time mental illness ends up being the villain of the story in ways that can be extremely harmful to actual people. That being said, I thought there were a lot of really decent moments in this movie in terms of the portrayal of mental illness. For example, there are a few instances in the movie where we see a character go through a panic attack. And I thought those moments were handled really well and really realistically, and not in a way that made it look like the character was overreacting or going crazy. And while mental illness is a villain in the story to an extent, it wasn't a clear-cut black and white situation where it was like mental illness bad, not mental illness good. I was pleasantly surprised to see mental illness and just mental health in general in this movie portrayed in a very realistic way. Yes, it can be scary sometimes, maybe specifically in the case of this movie when it runs in your family and you're worried that like one day it's going to come for you, so to speak, which is something I can relate to. And while Will's mother is the main source of Will's trauma, we're shown other aspects of his life that absolutely contributed to his decline in mental health. His shitty as fuck boss, his shitty as fuck dad, anxiety that comes with being in a newer relationship when things start to get serious. I won't spoil the ending for you too much, not in specifics, but I will say it was so lovely to see just like the ending message or ending themes where it was super clear that Will's childhood trauma was not something that he had to defeat and just be completely done with and be cured. It was something that will always be with him, but that doesn't mean it's gonna be like he's living in a horror movie for the rest of his life. Now, seeing as this is a horror movie, to talk about some of the scary aspects of the film, right? I thought the scary scenes were really effective. Will's trauma manifests as a figure dressed as a scary werewolf costume from Will's childhood, and you can see a bit of what that looks like in the poster for the movie. I love the look of this wolf character. It looks like Peach Fuzz and Frank had a baby. I don't know if that's what they were going for in this movie, but great job. I thought he looked super creepy, and it was a really interesting and effective way to personify Will's childhood trauma. There were also a few choice medical bits in this movie that really got under my skin. When it comes to like realistic medical stuff, I can be pretty squeamish. There were certain parts of this movie that had me squirming and like kind of watching through my fingers just because I was really uncomfortable and grossed out. And if you couldn't tell with everything I've said so far, this is a movie about a slow descent into madness. So as you can imagine, this movie starts to get that trippy, surreal, like what's real and what's not real feel by the end. And I feel like that definitely helped to put me in the mindset of the character to the point where I was almost exhausted when the movie was over. And I don't mean this in a bad way necessarily, but more like I felt like I had been through some shit vicariously through Will while watching this movie. And I would also just love to point out that I love that Will being gay is not the focus of the movie. Or should I say it's not the focus of his trauma or like the horror aspects of the movie. Aside from like one creepy comment his boss makes early on in the movie, he's just queer and he is existing. More movies with queer people just existing, please. We have other problems that aren't always to do with the fact that we're queer. So this was an emotional roller coaster of a movie and I quite enjoyed it. It's a bit of a heavier topic, so I definitely feel like I need a break from the movie after watching it, and I don't think it's one I would like watch on repeat just all the time, but I'm definitely going to be revisiting it probably more than once. And with anything, especially this movie, if you couldn't tell already from all the stuff I talked about, definitely check your content warnings for this one. There's a lot of serious topics covered that could be triggering, so just check before you go and watch the movie. If you've seen Hypochondriac already, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here. Become a Creepy Peep today. I post 2 new videos every week. I do live streams, collabs, all that stuff every month. So I will see you tomorrow for Creepy Book Club live on this channel at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And then after that, I'll see you with a new video. Until then, stay strange. Bye.